With his stunning looks and on-screen magnetism, Robert Redford was one of the last links to the golden age of Hollywood. News of his death today bringing back memories of the way we were. In his final days, the 89-year-old shunned the spot.
In a world where fame often thrives on exposure, Robert Redford became a master of restraint. For more than 6 decades, he carefully shaped a public image unlike any of his contemporaries. While others confessed on talk shows, wrote tell-all memoirs, or crumbled under public scrutiny, Redford stood apart. No embarrassing interviews, no public meltdowns, no midnight outbursts to regret. Every glimpse of him was deliberate, a reflection of what he chose to share. Nothing more, nothing less. His resistance to Hollywood's growing culture of confession wasn't accidental. It was intentional. Some things should remain private. Not everything is for sale, he once remarked, making clear his belief that dignity meant drawing a line between the public and the sacred. Yet, with his passing in September 2025, a fuller, more complex portrait of the man has begun to emerge. Beneath the image of the golden-haired movie star was a life marked by profound pain, deep regrets, and moments of vulnerability he revealed only in fragments. Through rare interviews, letters, and reflections from those closest to him, we see a man who carried wounds silently, not out of shame, but out of a conviction that some truths are too meaningful to be consumed as entertainment. One of the earliest burdens Redford carried was the death of his twin brother at birth. Few knew of this until much later in his life, when he quietly admitted, "I was originally one of two." He confessed to feeling, even as an adult, that something was missing, as though he was half of a whole. This sense of loss shaped his identity and infused many of his most personal films with themes of fractured selves and men searching for meaning. Then, as a young husband at just 23 years old, he and his wife Lola faced another tragedy, the sudden death of their infant son, Scott. Redford rarely spoke of it, but in later years admitted, "You never recover from the death of a child. You learn to live with it." Those who knew him say this devastating experience changed everything about how he viewed life, driving him to guard his family's privacy and stripping away any patience for Hollywood's shallow dramas. Privately, Redford also battled decades of health struggles. From the early 1990s, he suffered from peripheral neuropathy, a painful nerve condition that made even standing difficult. Few outside his inner circle knew the extent of his suffering. On set, he concealed the pain, preserving the illusion of vitality while protecting his work from becoming overshadowed by his condition. He wanted audiences to see the character, not the man in pain. This separation of personal struggle from public image reflected his larger philosophy. Art should speak for itself. Behind his golden image, Redford also carried quiet frustrations and disappointments. Though his directorial debut, Ordinary People, won him an Academy Award, many of his later projects, like Quiz Show and The Conspirator, failed to find the audience or critical response he hoped for. Privately, he admitted these disappointments cut deeply. He wanted to be remembered not just as a charming movie star, but as a filmmaker who made people think. At the same time, his first marriage ended painfully, and though he found lasting love with painter Sibylle Sagars, he kept their life together away from Hollywood's spotlight, determined not to repeat old mistakes. For all his control and composure, Redford was not without anger toward the industry that made him a star. He despised the commercialization of actors into brands and rejected opportunities most would chase. "It's not about storytelling anymore," he once wrote. "It's about marketing, creating products, not art." Sundance became his answer to this frustration, a space for independent voices and real stories. Still, in his later years, he acknowledged his deepest regret, that his relentless work had cost him time. "I thought I had more time," he admitted in 2023. It was a simple but heartbreaking realization, a recognition that his drive had often pulled him away from the quiet moments that mattered most. In the end, Robert Redford's legacy is not one of scandal or excess, but of dignity. He left behind a reminder that true authenticity does not always require confession, and that silence can sometimes speak more powerfully than words. He showed that an artist could protect his soul while sharing his gifts with the world. "I never wanted to be famous," he once said. "I just wanted to be good at something that mattered." In that simple truth lies the essence of his extraordinary journey, and perhaps the wisdom he leaves behind.